Well, residents in the Vaal are struggling with the smell and sewage in the area. Even though a 1.2 billion rand has been allocated for the Vaal Intervention Project aimed at repairing the Emfuleni municipality's water waste treatment system, but there's criticism since the Emfuleni Water Care Company took over from the SANDF. Water and Sanitation spokesperson Sputnik Ratau joins us now via Skype. Mr. Ratau, thank you so much for your time. What is going on with trying to clean up the Vaal?
Well, Tolly, thank you very much for your time. Yes, the work is ongoing. Remember that this work was not meant to be over a day or a week. We remember that at the inception of the contract with Ervat, it was very clear that the work that needs to be done will take nothing less than the next 36 months from that time, which was last year around this time, the end of May or so. And therefore, that work is ongoing. And there has been quite a lot of progress that has come in, although, yes, it is still worrisome because some areas are still experiencing some of the breakages as time goes on.
When you say there's been lots of progress made, are you able to spell it out in simple language as to what exactly is it that's been done? Because it's been about 6 to 7 months now.
Yes, Tolly, just to give two maybe critical examples. In the area of Sebokeng, for instance, there has been an unblocking of the line, which has led to when initially there was about 18 megaliters per day of wastewater that was flowing through that line. It has now moved to 120 megaliters per day. So that's a huge amount of wastewater that is now able to run through. Around the Reed Sprayed area, there's been an improvement of about 40% of performance, with about 5 tons of rubble having been moved out of the pipeline. So that's part of what has been happening. So it is ongoing. It is very clear that it will take a bit of time. And obviously, because some of the work, by the way, is in the pipelines which are underground, that will take more time than when you are repairing and refurbishing the pump stations, which are above ground and easier to access.
Let me ask you this question. Of the 1.2 billion rand allocated to this project, how much of it has been spent thus far?
Unfortunately, Tolly, I don't have the exact figure right now. And remember that that's a moving target because as invoices come in, then they get verified and paid. But obviously, I think by the time we had come to the end of the contract with SANDF, about 200 million had been paid. If my memory serves me well, the contract with Ervat, and I stand to be corrected, was in the region of about 300 million or so. So you can see that there is movement there, but obviously we still have a bit of money that has been that is set aside for this. And remember that this project is actually considered at a national level, and that is why the Minister of Finance was also able to pronounce it last year, so that it stays in the mind of government and it stays at top of mind of the program of action of government.
Are there set timelines for this project, Mr. Ratau?
What we are looking at now is that since we are the contract with Ervat has come to an end at the end of June, we are insourcing it with our construction unit. We are looking at the next 24 months to be able to finish the work, all things being equal.
All right. So just as a side issue, the Water and Sanitation Department is the custodian of waterworks. On Friday, I had a conversation with the DG of Basic Education, and this says that there are at least 500 schools that do not have access to water. What is going on? Because there's also allegations of corruption and municipalities are basically falling apart.
So I think the issue of water provision at schools, we must remember that, yes, it is true that it is the responsibility of basic education, but we have a very big supportive role that we have to play there. But also in this instance, remember that there is a memorandum of agreement that was signed between the DGs of basic education and water and sanitation, together with Rand Water as the implementing agent, to fast track availability of water at those schools that are not serviced across the country, and that is above the 2,000 number of schools across. And that project is underway. It is ongoing. Yes, we were looking at the fact that because it was the grade 7 and 12 that we're going to go back, yes, we were going to be able to speed up the work. But obviously with 600 million rand that has been set aside by the Department of Basic Education, that work is still ongoing. We haven't finished that project. We are continuing with it. And that is why part of what we have said, and I think the CEO of Rainwater was very clear the other time when he was being interviewed, that part of what we are doing is to bring in the Office of the Auditor General so that as we go on with the work, we are sure that we are not overstepping ourselves, but that we are operating within the regulations of National Treasury as under the National Disaster Act, as it is being worked now.
Very, very briefly, Mr. Ratau, I'm out of time, but how many schools are without water? Maybe there might be tanks there, but there's no water in the actual tank. How many of those schools, from what you know?
It's difficult for me to say off the top of my head. I would have to find that figure.
All right. Thank you very much for your time.